Not enough goods here, not enough goods there, building abandonment all over the place. I think we have a solution for this. Let's dive in and figure it out. Hello, welcome back to City Planner Plays, where we are building the city of Verde Beach. And today I had a whole bunch of things that I wanted to do, but I think it's really important that we solve once and for all our not enough goods issues. And to do that, let me introduce Ruby Shore. Ruby Shore is a 5th-generation fisherwoman that relishes the opportunity to spend each day doing what she loves to do most: set sail and catch massive fish. Her family has built a modest fishing operation, renting space at Fisherman's Bend, and they have 3 boats. The operation has done well enough to sustain their family, but not so much that it's made them wealthy. For the last few years, Ruby has watched the Lopez brothers build their community across the river before seeing the development potential dry up due to Verde Beach's struggles to fill its shops with enough goods to sustain the population. One day, she realizes that she has the solution: expand the fishing industry to provide a sustainable, local source of food and potentially an excellent tourism asset for the city. Ruby approaches the Lopez brothers with the idea of requesting an investment that she claims will solve their development's problems, the city's import issues, and boost the tourism economy of the area. They are hesitant, but see no other options. They provide her seed money in exchange for an agreement that Ruby would keep the industry as far away from their community as possible. Further, they begin purchasing billboards extolling the benefits of a local food source, fishing, to build support in the community for this idea. Today we're going to make Ruby's vision a reality while solving Verde Beach's not enough goods issues once and for all. Let's dive in. Okay, so I said let's dive in, but I do think that we have an issue that we need to resolve first, and we need to check in on the cliffhanger I left you with in the previous episode. So first of all, it was pointed out in Discord that we've got a floating path issue right here. In fact, I've been watching a lot of Stranger Things, and that's the upside down. We need to fix this. So this issue, I believe, occurs because when I saved, something happened, and this raised these up. This is not a move it sort of issue. This has been a problem for a while. You can see I go to convert this, and it elevates it. So we're just going to eliminate these paths and then replace them, and hopefully this won't become an issue again. While we're doing this, though, why don't we actually replace the trees here as well? Okay, there we go. I really like the aesthetic of this. I think it's a good solution. Okay, so as I looked for a good place for this industry, I couldn't help but notice that we have this collector that kind of terminates into this little earthquake sensor. And this collector is going to be really important because we can use that to feed the goods from our new wharf directly into the heart of the area that has most of our issues. So the first thing we're going to do is use a little bit of eminent domain. We're going to move this earthquake sensor, the height of realism, right here. Temporarily, hopefully, as long as I don't forget about it. And then we're going to take these commercial buildings right here that are low density anyway and eliminate them. Actually, they're high density, and that was very expensive. So we're just going to have to roll with it. And then we'll extend this out. Let's get all of our snap twos on, get this thing moving. And I can see that this is going to cause more issues than I was hoping if I'm not careful. So let's use our curved road tool. We'll click on this. I wonder how close I can get this. Actually, we'll use our freeform tool. Yeah, I don't love how this is going to line up, but I don't know that we have many options because I can't get that so close. I've got to be at least 1 tile away. So it won't line up beautifully, but it will be good enough. So we're going to dig this out, and I'm taking some inspiration here from Fisherman's Wharf in San Francisco. So I don't want this thing to jet out into the ocean and kind of be a bit of an eyesore. I want to do what we're doing here over at the Hamilton Experience and curve it over. So we're going to come up with the design of this using our dirt roads. And I think that's always a good approach. So we're going to start with some bridges. And I want to make sure that we're taking this far enough out that we are providing the opportunity for boats to leave in either direction. And while I'm thinking about it, I think I need to mention what the Boost Connections has done. Our weekly income is dropping rapidly some weeks, but other weeks we're seeing huge increases. So I think for the time being, we're going to leave it on. And if we run into financial issues, we will turn it off. But right now, I think we're okay. All right, I think we're going to send it out to about there. And what we're going to do is we're going to keep this pretty narrow in this area. We're going to dredge this out and use the soil that we dredge out to fill this area in. And with our new landscaping tools, this is really something that should be possible. So I'm going to take some soil from over here and level this out. Now I'm going to steal this height from up here and pull this through. And I will make this wider and we will add some key walls, but we just need to get this going. And let's let this run for a moment so that the water does its thing. Okay, good. Now I think I should be able to upgrade these and maybe they will conform back down, but we'll see. Look at that, perfect. Now, obviously there are some height things going on here. We're gonna need to resolve those, so I'm gonna call a little bit of a mulligan on this. And we'll need to try it again. And let's make sure that this is good and leveled. Now I'm starting with a lower classification road because it's cheaper, and then I can upgrade it down the line. Perfect. So this is going to give us the opportunity to have boats coming off either side, and I'm really hoping that this solves some of our issues with not enough goods by having lots and lots of activity here. So the first thing I want to do is extend this out a little ways so we have a little bit of shore that we can cling on to for our quay wall. And I'm going to do the exact same thing on the other side. So we'll raise up our coast here for our quay wall. And then I'm going to slope this down. So we'll pick our top height and our bottom and just pull it up. I might even go further back so we get a more gentle slope here. And we'll worry about the lumpies and bumpies over here in a little bit. Right now, not our main concern. Now, with quay walls, it's always helpful to just kind of pause things momentarily. And though I'd love to have a decorative quay wall here, I know that it's in my best interest not to do so because the fishing industry assets do not look very good with those other quay walls that came in the content creator pack. So we'll just avoid those for the time being. And now I'm going to come through here and have just my angle on. And this will allow me to keep this perfectly straight, although I'm going to need to bring this over here as well, which means I'll need to dredge this out to get some water here. And while that's filling in, let's just make sure I can even fit these assets on, and I can't. So as I'm thinking about this, now we have this road here that's just way too big. So we'll need to stop this here, and we'll have parallel local road facilities. Now this isn't wide enough, which is something I was worried about. We're going to need to take this further back, but that's okay. At least now we have an idea of what we'll need to do to accomplish this. It's back to our quay wall. I want my road guidelines back on so I can start this. And then we'll send it back. Beautiful. Now, the road guidelines, I'll keep them on because I want to meet up with this nicely, and the distance is now too short. So we'll need to go back to the drawing board, but that's okay. Because we've used our other guideline, so that will line up perfectly straight. Looking beautiful. All right, we're going to do the exact same thing over here. Again, road guidelines on. Interestingly, it's going to let me make that little tiny bit right there, which is going to be very helpful as we create this. Beautiful. So we are going to pull this out a bit further. And the primary reason is that boats are going to have a really tough time getting around here. So a little bit of guessing and checking with this whenever you do a build like this. And that's quite all right. Now, I would love for this to line up well with this, but we might have a bit of imperfection here, and that's okay. Not everything is perfect in this world, and our wharf will be very similar to the real world. Imperfect, but beautiful at the same time. Okay, so for this one, we're going to come through and add our quay wall, and I'm wondering if I can snap onto this over here. I can. And now it's nice and straight, and I can use this guide on the road to create that and hopefully pull this just far enough back. I don't want it to curve like that, so we will get rid of this. Use our road guideline to line that up as close as we can. And then I want to pull this out. So we'll need to, again, dig into the into the bay. So we have a shoreline. And then again, struggle with our distance being too short. So it's fine. Easy solution and a nice little shore. We might need to extend this out further, truthfully, but that is easy at this point because we have the base of what we're doing. And the one thing I am concerned about is we see this popping up quite a bit. And I don't want that. And one of the things that you'll notice is whenever you place these for a second time, they pop up in vanilla, which is really unfortunate. The first time is perfect. The second time, a little less so. And before I just start randomly plopping these down, we should take a look at the fish that we have available to us. And what I'm seeing, interesting. This must be where we terraform the ocean a bit. So we have a lot of shellfish. We have a lot of anchovies. And I don't really see much of anything else available to us. Salmon is back here, as is the tuna. So we are going to really attack anchovies and some shellfish, really get out in the deep ocean, activate the shore a bit, and do some interesting things here. So let's look for those. So anchovy is one of the first to unlock. So it's right there. And maybe our issue with our terraforming is we have these coasts that are still a little bit wonky. So we'll pull those out. And I'm going to, right off the bat, just pull this out a little ways further, because I can tell that we're going to need more space. And this should be easy enough to build so long as we have only angle on. And then for our second, we can turn on road guidelines. Now, hopefully, our terrain is still fairly level through here, so we're good. Do the exact same thing over here. And I'm going to leave this for now just like that, and then let's go ahead and again terraform along the wall. Try to make sure that our new vessels and industry is as even as it can be. A little more work up front, but the payoff is big in the end. And over here, eventually we're going to fill this in. We don't need this anymore. But let's start getting some of these industries placed. So what I'm thinking is the anchovies, since they're closer in, we'll place those over here on this side. You see it's just raising up a bit, which is really unfortunate. That is not at all what I was hoping to see. We're going to have to do some landscaping to try to resolve that. It's just a vanilla issue that is really difficult to work through, and we have to, sometimes you just got to play around the vanilla mechanics, and it's fine. So we have our anchovies over there, and we'll have some general shellfish fishing over here. Thankfully, it appears that these are mostly at the same level, except for this one. Except for this one, for whatever reason. I'm going to try to shake this. Oh, jeez. That didn't work. All right, well, another idea. Let's go ahead. We'll connect these roads up. And then right here, we have a road guideline on. I wonder if I just make that a bridge, if that will work. It did an okay job. It looks like it did the trick. Interestingly, so this all comes down to the heights. And it appears that the height that we can't see is saying, bridge me. Bridge me. And you can see we still have landscaping costs as we go through this. Okay, I very much dislike what's happening here. I do not know that I will be able to fix it, though, without landscaping it. And we're just going to deal with that little bit of imperfection. We will figure that out. I think what we're ultimately going to do is need to come through with something like this. That does an okay job. It hides it pretty well. So we're not going to worry too much about that. And look at this. That really does a lot to activate this area already, even though there's nothing going on yet. Soon. We need to figure out how we're going to connect this up to our road, though. And that's going to be a bit of a trick. So I'm going to bring that in just a little ways, and then we'll try again to make our connection. Road guidelines on. Curved road tool, not freeform. And there we go. Little ugly. Very ugly. That didn't work as I wanted. So we're going to need to do a bit of sloping here to try to make this look a little bit better. If that doesn't work, we're going to need to bridge this because this looks really bad. Okay, so that's pretty good. Lots of messing around. It's still not perfect, but I think it's about as perfect as we're going to get it. And sometimes you've just got to make sure that you're not letting perfect be the enemy of good, because this is pretty good and we can work with this. And you might be wondering why I'm not using the long grasses or something like that here, mainly because they float. And I don't want that floating to occur. Now, I've got to be really careful because these will chew into the sidewalk. But at the same time, I want to hide this stuff, so it's a delicate balance. Okay, and we'll add more to this in a little bit, but I want to focus on getting this stuff running. And we're not done with this. You might remember that I said there's going to be some tourism here, and I totally do not have it yet. So let's start thinking about that tourism aspect of this right now. So I'm going to extend this out further, going even further, because we've got more work to do. We've still got soil, so we're good. And I'm not going to worry about this other side right here until I'm done with this, because I'm finding myself just repeatedly redoing this. Now, what we're going to do here is just bring this into one road, and then we can build things along this. Now, I want to make sure that I have room for one asset, and that is my parking lot, which I do not have room for right now, which means that we're going to need to modify our quay walls a bit and take these out further, which is fine. It's something that we have no problem doing. We'll just need to make sure that we're using our quay walls effectively. Bring them out just a little bit further. And there we got 4 tiles. We're good. I'm going to line that up with where the road changes. Just have a gentle transition. And I think it's really important that we have some parking down here. You'll often see these. So this parking will double as a place for the workers to park. And then as we start to introduce some of our tourism amenities over here, it'll work for that as well. So we've got all of these. We've got a fishing pier. I think that we could add one of those over along this road over here eventually. In fact, we might switch sides at some point. So we'll have some just general commercial type operations over here. So we'll add that. There'll be commercial right here. We are going to make this, I think we're going to give this a specialization. So what we'll do is we will go ahead, we're going to name this eventually. Anyway, we have an excellent name already in mind. And let's give this the organic and local specialization. And while we're here, let's get some water pipes going underneath the roads, right where they belong. And power's already connected here, so these aren't operational when we are bleeding money. but it's okay. We'll get that figured out. So I like these because they're small. You can imagine being able to sit here and see some things. The other option that we have potentially would be to go for nightlife. I think we're going to need to play whack-a-mole and make historic buildings if we go that route, though. So let's just, why don't we give that a shot? Because that would give us restaurants. So I'll let that go. And then what we're going to do is extend this out a bit further. And the road's going to switch the sides that it's on so we can have some excellent access to the coast. And you can see this thing is getting huge. The nice thing about the parking lot here is we've preserved the view through here. So if you're looking, we've not obstructed that view. So that's going to be very important. And I see that we are starting to get in the path of the ferry, so we're going to need to keep that in mind as well as we're constructing this. And this is about as far as I want to go. This thing is massive now, so I don't want to go any further. And I'm going to turn grid on here, and this will be a bit of a trick. Ooh, there we go. Just dove right up there. All right, so this is going to be a challenge, a real challenge. But I think if we come down here, we can get this going after we fix our ferries. That is not going to be something that we're able to keep as is. So let's get this fixed, shall we? There we go. So eventually this will repair itself. There we go. And we're good to go. So I used the tools at my disposal to get this to switch sides. We're just going to terminate this down here. And we want that to be a little more gentle. So we'll keep our angle on. We'll send that this way, and then we'll use our road guidelines and our curved road tool to make a nice gentle connection. And now we should be able to just pull the key wall back, and we have casually switched the side of the road that we are focusing on. So this is important because I want to have some of our fishing piers available right here, as well as our tours, jet ski rental, and I'm seeing that these are popping up because of the heights at the shore. So again, just a bit of focus on that. That one's not taking it the way I'd like it to. So we'll skip it. We'll go with the marina, and then we'll have a restaurant at the end. But we're going to need to round this out before we get there. Let's go ahead. We'll extend this out just a little bit further. And then we'll pull this out. We have our road guidelines on, so we should be able to line up there and then pull this right across. There we go. Finishing out things in such a clean way. Looking good. Looking very good. Now we can finish off our parks. There we go. And what we're going to do is we're going to reserve some space here. We'll have some sort of small park. I really despise how high this has jumped up. And this has been the forever struggle. Now, if you have Move It, you're chuckling to yourself thinking, well, you know, Phil, if you had Move It, you wouldn't have this problem. Yeah, you're right. And if these were rational, the piers wouldn't be so high. But we are living with a little bit of imperfection and being just fine. And that's okay. We'll live with it. Now, if I move this, though, we're going to, again, pop up like that. So we'll give it another go and potentially... Oh, okay, that's a lot better. That's significantly better. So I'm going to be happy with that. Now, what we get down here, we get some gyms and some other stuff. You know, I'm actually okay with it. I think we're going to stick with that. We'll have these commercial buildings down there. And I think it's going to be a good fit. There we go. So now we've extended this all the way down. We need to clean up our shore and then get some routes going. Now, one thing I did not notice, this quay wall jumps up. And the funny thing is, that's actually the height that this road wanted. So that's unfortunate. That would be the very first thing I'd clean up if I had Move It. The first thing I'm going to clean up without Move It is this, though. You can see that there's a little bit of a dip in the parking lot. That would be a drainage nightmare. There'd be ponding there. So we'll just deal with it. It's still not great that it's rising up as you get to the wall, but a little bit of an imperfection is going to have to be A-okay. We're fine. All right, so we've got to finish this side. Let's get this going. We will just go ahead and continue to try to keep this as straight as we can. I might even go with something more significant. Can always clean things up later. We'll keep our angle on, and we'll have to let the water do its thing. I'm turning my road guidelines back on because I want to line this quay wall up right here. And oh, we have a buoy here. That is why the space is already occupied. And we'll extend that there, and I want to drop this down into the ocean from here. So what I'm going to do is just grab this height here, and then we're going to slope up. I'm going to pause this so that I can actually work on this before it says that there's no shoreline available. I'm too late. And now I'm going to feather this out a bit right here. Actually, we'll need to level it. And then we should be able to pick our top height and just slope right on up. And we need to extend this out. So always a bit of guessing and checking with this. And the one problem with the distance that I've gone is now we have exposed non-beach, which is not okay. So we'll do a couple of things to try to fix this. Let's see what this has done with our water. Okay, so I think that is going to do the trick for us. Very good. We need to fix this side as well. This should be considerably easier. Just going to right mouse click and pull it over, and then we'll taper it out. Let's go with a smaller tool though, so we don't go crazy here. And then right here, I am going to just angle this under the water. And then we'll use our slope tool, medium height, pick our top height, and then slope up here. There we go. Looking good. So this water will evaporate eventually. I'm going to be pretty okay with that. Now our routes, and this could be a trick because we're going to have overlapping routes. We have our anchovy route. Let's get that going right now. Anchovies are anything in this kind of yellowish orange color. I'm wondering, can I just link this up? I can, but that's not really going to help me. Yeah, we didn't go quite far enough out, which really stinks. So, round 2. And truthfully, I don't really mind this road right here. It might be kind of interesting, kind of like a beach route to cruise down. Maybe we'll keep that for beach patrol or something of that nature. All right, so we're going to dredge this out, pull this back. Okay, and we're definitely not going to save that road. It didn't terraform very well, so we'll just get rid of that. Not a problem. There we go. And we'll fix under the sea. And interestingly, we're running into our metro over here. So we'll want to use that as our bottom height, so that's not exposed. There we go. Now, we might clean that up down the line. Let's see what I can do. Obviously, this isn't going to work, what I was trying. Okay, now this is going to be a real trick. I think I have a solution for these, for the paths for these fishing boats, but it's going to be a real challenge. So what we're going to do is immediately send these boats right along the side of the coast, of the quay wall rather. I'll send those out. We're going to mirror this same movement. And we can even have an angle here, I think. Maybe. And we'll have that one there. And then we're going to do the exact same thing here. You can get past these. They can overlap. But you've really got to be careful with it. And then for our final one, hopefully this one doesn't get mad at us. And we're gonna have to see how much collision there is. In fact, let's. Oh no! I'm not gonna be able to easily delete this one. That was a real trip. Now I could just loop these back around and call it a day, but we're not gonna do that. That's boring. Now I know in the comments, I'm gonna see comments stating that, you know, these routes don't need to be that long, but I just think that they're ugly when they're short. So we are going to make these be a little bit longer. Maybe they have to be. And this should be the very first one. There we go. First one's good to go. Here, we'll send that out just a bit further. And then for our final one, we will go out this way. Okay, and let's see how this looks. You know, I think I'm okay with it. I think this is good. Oh, thank goodness. I was really worried. This is really important to this entire build. So, glad we were able to figure that out. Next, we've got the opportunity to go for a little bit of shellfish. So, we could fish right here. I think we'll do that with this one, but we'll bring these ones out. We'll go deep sea fishing with one of them. And the other one, we're going to come over here and activate the airport area. This middle one, we will deep sea fish. And then finally, we have this one. And this one will head over to the Hamilton experience, do a little bit of a loop. And I'm not 100% sure how productive this route's going to be. We're doing our best, but, you know, it might not be good enough. We'll have to see. There we go. Whew. That was a trick. All right, so 100% efficiency, 100% efficiency, 0%. Oh, 100%. And these we'll check out in just a second. Why don't we finish up some landscaping here? Now, it feels like we could be doing something more back here, a turnaround, something. What I think we're going to do is just have a little bit of pedestrian activity through here. So we'll stretch this out here. We'll add a bench or two. A little gazebo. And make this a place where you could hang out. And from this, you'd be able to watch all of the boats, which are just, there's so many, and the planes. So lots of activity. Wow, that is crazy, the number of boats that they send out. All right, well, let's finish up our landscaping. And I do think I'm going to add some vegetation here. I wasn't going to do that, but it just looks really weird with the beach popping on through. So we'll just run this right along down the center. Okay, so that is looking much, much better in my opinion. And oh, bummer. So this route is not doing very well. And that was what I was concerned about. I think we're gonna need to redo this route. So I'm gonna send this one a little bit further out. There we go. That should improve the efficiency of the route, even if it's super long. So we're gonna be good with it. Let's see how this changes things. Well, this might take some time, so we'll need to come back to that. But I'm feeling really good about this. All of these boats, though, it's really unfortunate that there are so many, because I feel like it looks a little bit cluttered. But that is just kind of the way the fishing industry works. And, you know, truthfully, it's probably okay. It's probably just me showing my non-coastalness. So I'm definitely a lake guy. So sometimes I show that. Now, this one is complaining that there are not enough buyers for fish. And we have a solution for that, but we need to finish off one more thing here. We've got this signalized intersection here, which just isn't really necessary. We'll let there be a bit of a free-for-all here. I'm also curious about traffic. We could certainly add a cut-through, maybe in the center. We'll add 2. And this will just give vehicles the ability to turn around if they need to. And I'll make those one-ways so we don't have a bunch of cross-traffic doing crazy things. There we go. I think that's going to be really, really helpful. This is still having problems. I might just need to redo that route. So interesting, we have not enough buyers for products. How are we looking over here? Not enough commercial goods. So I think we have a solution, and that is to look over here, and we see that our petroleum industry is now overbuilt, lots of waste, and what we're going to do is just get rid of some of these. So Drake Oil is going to eliminate some of their capacity. This was mostly oil, a little bit of petroleum. And if we look right here, it's plastic, or it was mostly plastics, a little bit of petroleum. We have a mixture right there. That's petroleum. That's petroleum. We'll keep those. And let's throw in some fish factories. Now, these don't really fit well in the existing roadway network. So what we're going to do is need to relinquish some of that right-of-way, which I've talked about as being a very challenging thing. But I think in this particular instance, we are going to allow it. And the height of realism is going to be eliminating this and relocating this little waste transfer facility back just a little ways. We need to be able to fit these in. And we'll say that this is at the... Oh, no. We are full. I'm going to have to just delete this, and it won't let me delete it. Okay, we're going to need to try something. I'll just get rid of this temporarily, and we'll add this until it's empty. Now, while this is emptying, which apparently is going to be very fast, never mind. Now we'll bring this fish factory back in here. Why don't we get it some separation from the other fish factory, which to me makes perfect sense. And we'll add this road back in here. And I really don't like the idea of this facing what is functioning as a higher capacity road. Let's face this on its own local road. We'll stop it from emptying, and then we'll upgrade this road so that we have a little bit of consistency here. There we go. So this does not have the fish it needs, but it's going to take the fish and pump it out to commercial zones. So hopefully we get our freight trucks in use. This one obviously has one. It's almost full of fish. And then we also have our fish market over here, which is also selling our fish directly to customers. We could build another one. It's certainly something we could do. If we continue to have issues over here, we might do that. But this route, we're going to change it. That didn't work. And as much as I wanted to, I'm not going to fight the game. I'm going to relent. All right, we got rid of most of this route. Let's do what we did for the other route and send this into the deep ocean. If this doesn't work, we'll convert this over to a general fishing route. I'm not opposed to that either. I just want to make sure it's working as efficiently as it can be. There we go. So this should be, yeah, look at that, immediately 100% efficiency. So there we go. Now we could certainly go and look at our boats and see when they fill up. I'm not going to go that crazy. I just want the routes to work well, and they appear to be doing so. Look at this. Still not enough buyers for fish. We're loaded up in all of these. So let's look at our signalization. We want to prioritize this route. And really this should provide a good path here to get all the way to those fish factories. A couple of them actually. So they could come down here, down Sunset, or they could come here and go underneath Plaza Rancho Viejo Park to get straight to the factories. So the other alternative would be to create a fish market again down here, or expand this one. What I think we might do is let's see if there's any other locations where we could potentially sneak one in. And maybe right here. No, way too big. So that's the problem with these fish markets, is they're huge. So if we're gonna have these anywhere, it's gonna be very, very, very large, and we're gonna have to plan for that. We're gonna sneak this in, and I really wish I could center this, but it's not letting me. And truthfully, it's just not gonna work well right here because of our terrains. I should have guessed that. We're just gonna let this go for a little while, and hopefully it stabilizes. It looks like we have, these are pretty full. There's a lot of fish being produced here now, and that is our primary concern. And I'm wondering, our processing now, when we take a look, it's not full. So hopefully this will resolve some of our issues. I'm gonna let this run for a few minutes and see if our not enough goods issue is resolved. Okay, and I let this run for maybe 10 minutes, and we're getting a lot closer to where we need to be. I did a couple of things though that I think are really helpful. So I haven't really looked at the outside connections a lot, but it tells you a lot. So when you click on this, you look at these different colors, and purple means that all of these purple buildings are currently importing that type of good. And in this case, it's general good. Right here, it's agriculture. This is some of our self-sufficient or organic and local produce buildings, rather. And then right here, we had a big, unique factory goods building that wasn't really doing anything. And we have one right here as well that's also not really doing anything. So I set this to import. And I think that that's helping. I also went out to the airport, and I noticed that a number of these unique factory goods warehouses weren't doing much. So I set these all to commercial goods, and you can see that they're starting to fill up. So that's really helpful. And because they're purple, they're importing, exporting. We've got oil. That's about it. Oil products, zoned oil products. So very, very helpful. The one thing I think we could do to really resolve most of our issues, because you see that there are just a couple of buildings, let's rethink about this little block right here. So we've got this waste transfer facility, and I know that that's important, but I think that we could add one more fish factory, which I think is even more important, because as I looked over here, you see that we run out of buyers again. So we're just a little bit out of whack there. And I know that each of the fish factories has different generation rates. That's another consideration. Height of realism, we're going to relocate this just a bit. See if we can sneak this down here. We cannot. So that relocation was all for naught. We could fit it right here, which is a terrible location for it. But I think we're going to accept an imperfect location in exchange for the ability to add another fish factory. So we'll have kind of a wall of fish factories there. Now we can make this roadway connection here. We'll get rid of that path connection. And that will need to be signalized. And while I'm thinking about signalized, there was another intersection over here that needs to be signalized. It's near the university in Greenaway. Right here. This one is backing up quite a bit. And there's no signal. So adding a signal here is likely what we need to do to get this functioning a little bit better. So there we go. That will certainly help that area. So now that we have another fish factory, this wall of fish factories, not enough fish here, which is a great problem to have because we can solve that one. We've got some lumpies and bumpies. This terrain is not perfect. And in reality, I think that it would certainly, they would modify the building to make it work right here. So we're just going to hide some of these. Either way, a fish factory is not super attractive. You wouldn't want to see it, so we'll hide it and it'll look much, much better. All right, so this should begin to import. And wow, these lumpies, just brutal. There's not a lot that I can do. If I take a look at the terrains, there is something I could do. Oh, I really should have done this beforehand. We will do it. We can't leave it like that. That's not going to work. It didn't do a thing. So, you know, sometimes when you let perfect be the enemy of good, you end up with problems. All right, so hopefully if we speed this up, we'll see this thing get filled up with fish. We've got not very many workers here. That's going to be a problem, but you see our demand is starting to come back to where it should be, which is really, really helpful. And we're processing these fish. We don't have these completely filled up, which is a good thing. And there we go. We have fish there. And when we pop back over here, I've only got one of these that's full. I'll take that. Got some work to do to get things going, but we're good. And I think that with that, we need to enjoy the views over here, zoom in, and have a brief city tour. And with that, Ruby has created an absolutely stunning amenity for the downtown area, really activated a portion of the beach that hasn't been activated prior to this. We probably should focus at some point on bringing these pedestrian paths down here and trying to work with this little bit of shore right here, but I think that we've done some good things. So right here, our views are still preserved. We've got this really active waterfront now. The only thing that we need is a name. And what we're going to name this is Ruby Shores. Now, at one point in time, there would have been this apostrophe here, and maybe it would have been Wharf. But over time, it became Ruby Shores. And it's one of those things where people wonder why it's called Ruby Shores. Is it named because there was rubies found somewhere in the city? Is it because there was red fish that they caught over here? Was there a speckle in the sand? None of those. It is because of Ruby Shore, the person who helped build this lovely Fisherman's Wharf. And with that, we should take a look, make sure that we still are looking good with our goods. A couple issues here and there, but I will deal with a couple here and there as long as we don't have massive issues all over the place. And I don't see massive issues all over. I see a couple small issues here and there, and I really feel like this time we've nailed it, and these will resolve themselves over time. So, I hope that you've enjoyed this episode. If you did, please hit the like button. If you aren't subscribed, please consider doing so, and I cannot wait to see you in the next one. Take care. Bye-bye.